Pennsylvania is home to some of the most beautiful courthouses in America. It's rare when politics, art, and law meet at the front door, but it happens in the Keystone State. For more than 125 years, the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania has carried the legacy. Pennsylvania's historic courthouses.
Welcome to Cumberland County. I am Tom Placey. On behalf of all the citizens of Cumberland, I wish to thank the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania and PCN's Historic Courthouse Tours for coming here to Carlisle today. Carlisle is the county seat of Cumberland. It is 25 miles west of the capital in Harrisburg and north of the battle at Gettysburg in Adams County. Cumberland County was formed on January 27, 1750, out of the lands of Lancaster County. Cumberland was the wilderness. It was the frontier. But it gave the citizens who lived in the frontier access to justice, a courthouse, a place to record their business, have their public trials. In 1750, the first courthouse was located in Shippensburg at Widow Piper's Tavern, which still stands today as the Shippensburg Civic Association. In 1752, the first of 4 courthouses was built on this square in the county seat of Carlisle. It was a log cabin. It was eventually replaced in 1766 with a more permanent structure. Today we are pleased to be able to give you tours of the 3rd and 4th courthouses built on the square here in Carlisle. The 3rd courthouse is now known as the Old Courthouse. The 4th is known as the New Courthouse and stands behind me. Cumberland County takes its name from Cumberland, England. As originally founded in 1750, it was all the lands west of the Susquehanna River. Cumberland County, as founded, created 48 of the 67 counties here in Pennsylvania.
Welcome to Cumberland County. I'm Robin Atwood Fiddler from the Cumberland County Historical Society. This building, what we now call the Old Courthouse, was the new courthouse in 1846. It was built at a cost of $55,000, which was actually $6,000 more than the original estimate. The design is classical style with the Corinthian pillars, but it has Georgian elements as well. These beautiful Corinthian pillars were originally designed to be wood, but there was a very strong feeling that this building should be fireproof, given the experience of the previous courthouse. So they spent the extra $300 to have them made in sandstone. They were made by local artisans. The citizens of Cumberland County are fortunate that their predecessors decided to spring for the extra $300 for sandstone pillars, because the courthouse is still standing, and it might not be had it not been for those sandstone pillars, because on the night of July 1st, 1863, Carlisle was shelled by the troops of Confederate General Jeb Stuart on his way to the Battle of Gettysburg. They did not do a tremendous amount of damage. There were very few casualties, but some of the signs of the damage still remain in the marks on the old courthouse. Right here you can see where one of the shells hit, and on one of the sandstone pillars there is also a mark that has been preserved with white paint with the date July 1st, 1863. You can see the ornate pillars and the Corinthian decoration that is also reproduced on the tops of the columns on the side of the building. The original wood shutters are also still in place. Atop the low gabled roof of the courthouse is the 106-foot cupola with a clock on 4 sides and a bell. The bell weighs over 10,000 pounds, was cast in Troy, New York. It is only occasionally rung on special occasions. Inside the cupola is an informal history of this nearly 160-year-old courthouse, where countless county workers have left their mark by carving or painting their names and dates on the walls and rafters of the cupola. I'm standing inside the front doors of the courthouse, which looks a lot like it did in the late 19th century. In 1991, the courthouse was restored to its original appearance. The floor is the original tile. You can see the vaulted ceilings down this hall. The lighting, which was introduced in the late 19th century, originally, of course, was gas, but later electrified in the early 20th century. When the building was built, this floor housed county offices, an arbitration room, and a council chamber. There are still county offices on this floor. Now we're going to move upstairs. You can see the graceful staircases that go up on both sides to the one and only courtroom in this building, the jury room and the witness room. Welcome to the historic courtroom in the 1846 courthouse. This was the one and only courtroom in Cumberland County until the new courthouse was built in the early 1960s. The room is 62 by 42 feet, and as you can see, it has rounded corners, beautiful architecture. In 1991, the room was restored to its 1890s appearance. Right in 1890, the lighting was introduced. It was originally gas. Chandeliers and lighting fixtures made by the Cornelius Company of Philadelphia. And between the time they were put in and 1991, they had been painted. And in 1991, they decided to restore them to their original unpainted condition, although there were some people who wanted to throw them out altogether because they weren't authentic to the original building. But they have been maintained and restored to their late 19th century appearance. As you can see, the beautiful ceiling with the painted decorations, again restored to the simple colors of the late 19th century. This room had been painted in the early 20th century in much brighter colors. Around the room are portraits of all the president judges who served in this courthouse from 1794 through 1955. Visitors to the courtroom sat in these pews, and you can see the floor is the original painted wood floor. This carpeting was added in the 1991 restoration. It's not authentic to any period, but we believe that it was probably put in to lessen the noise in the offices below, because a lot of school groups and chores are given in this space. As you can see, the floor is slightly ramped so that spectators in the rear pews could see just as well as those who were sitting in the front pews. I'm standing now next to the judge's bench and the witness box in the old historic courtroom. As you can see, there's beautiful ornate decorations behind the judge's bench, Corinthian columns that mirror the ones on the outside of the building, beautiful carving and painting on the ceiling, the ornate iron heating grates, the witness box with the witness chair firmly affixed to the floor. In front of the judge's bench, you can see behind these beautiful carved railings are the two desks where the clerk of courts and the court reporter would have sat with their original inkwells dating to the 1880s. The tables and bench that are used now still have computer terminals on them, but of course that is a concession to 21st century needs, because the room is still occasionally used for hearings and special events, particularly the naturalization ceremony that's held every June. On either side of the courtroom, there are the original fireplaces, which were used for heat until steam heat was introduced in 1892. You can see they still have the original iron grates. I'm now sitting at the judge's bench, the site of a number of important court trials in the history of this historic building. Let me tell you about a couple of them. The first one is referred to as the McClintock slave riot. It took place in 1847. Two Maryland slaveholders came to Carlisle seeking fugitive slaves who had sought refuge here in Carlisle. They were arrested for breaking and entering, trying to get into the house where the people were staying. And when they were released, they asked the judge if they could take their property, meaning their enslaved African Americans, if they could take them with them. The judge ruled that they could. A Dickinson College professor, McClintock, was apparently more knowledgeable about Pennsylvania law than the judge at the time, and knew that just 8 weeks earlier, a law had been passed that said that the courts could no longer allow slaveholders to regain their property in the state of Pennsylvania, which was at that time a free state. So McClintock produced a copy of this law, but the judge paid no attention, ruled that the slaveholders could take the people with them. The African American community in Carlisle was understandably outraged, and as the Marylanders and the enslaved African Americans were leaving the courthouse, a general melee ensued, and in the course of the riot, one of the slaveholders was seriously injured and eventually died. McClintock and 26 of the African Americans were charged with inciting a disturbance, and McClintock and 13 of them were acquitted. The remainder were charged and were convicted and fined. However, their convictions were overturned on appeal. Even though no one served any time for this riot, it made national headlines, and it fueled the tensions between the northern and southern states that eventually led to the Civil War.
Welcome back to the new courthouse. It was built in 1960 and 61, designed by the same architects, Lowry and Green, who designed Dauphin County's courthouse. You will see some similarities if you visit both courthouses. In 1962, the courthouse began in full operation with row offices such as the Prothonotary, the Recorder of Deeds, the Register of Wills, and the Clerk of Courts operating out of the building behind me. The courthouse came to be in this location through the will of Judge Shugart. President Judge Shugart was judge of Cumberland County from 1948 through 1983. In the mid-50s, he proposed that a new courthouse be built. The land we were on was the old market. In the deed from Thomas Penn in 1750, it was proposed that the square be used for public purposes. One of the public purposes was a market that ran on the square every Wednesday and Saturday. This continued through 1950, when the market house that was behind me was condemned. After the condemnation, a chain fence was put up. A local attorney snipped the wires and allowed the farmers to continue to use the market on Wednesdays and Saturdays until in 1959, the land was dedicated by Carlisle Borough Ordinance for use as a courthouse. Judge Shugart was instrumental in declaring that the title to the land could be used for public use and not simply a market use as the farmers had contested in court. Judge Shugart made that decision. It went up to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, and the Supreme Court found that it could be used for public business, not only as a farmer's market. Today, we have the courthouse through the sheer will of Judge Shugart. The new courthouse was modified and an addition added in 1983 to cover the expanding number of judges that we had in Cumberland County. We had grown from a one-judge county from 1750 all the way through the 1950s to a two-judge county in the old courthouse, and now had 3 judges here in Cumberland County, expanding to a 4th in 1983. The expansion required us to span the alleyway and connect with the old hardware store that was built next to the courthouse. The hardware store, known as the Bixler Building, was connected by a breezeway to the new courthouse. Welcome to the 4th floor of the new courthouse. This is where all the courtrooms are located in the Cumberland County Courthouse. We are currently in Courtroom 1. The courtrooms were built as needed. Courtroom 1 being the first was built and started use in 1962. Judge Shugart, our president judge back then, whose picture hangs on the back wall, presided in this courtroom until he retired in 1983. This is the largest courtroom currently in use in Cumberland County. We have many uses for this besides just jury trials. However, you can see that it is set up for jury trials in a unique way. Not only do we have jury trials with a jury bench on one, or jury box on one side, we have 2 jury boxes in this courtroom. This is the only courtroom in Cumberland County that has the ability to have 2 simultaneous juries if we ever had to have a case that was bifurcated in such a way or split in such a way so that we had to have 2 independent juries. We have the ability to have them in our jury boxes, whether it's on the right side of the courtroom or the left side of the courtroom. And there's actually set up for 2 separate witness stands if that were needed. I've never had to do that in my career here. However, they were forward thinking at the time. Now, this was a time pre-technology. This courtroom has been retrofitted for technology. Unlike some of the other courtrooms that have drop ceilings, this has the original ceilings, the original chandeliers from the construction in 1960 and 61 that mirror the old courthouse courtroom. Vaulted ceiling, chandeliers that look like candles. These are electrified. The ones in the old courthouse have now been electrified, but they were originally gas. Each courtroom has a saying behind the bench. The judge picks the saying as he or she comes to the bench. This is Judge Maslin's saying, and above it appears the state seal with the ship, the plow, and the sheaves. That seal is original to the courtroom. It's been here since the time of Judge Shugart. The saying, uniquely Judge Maslin's. And it's appropriate because George Washington was actually here in Cumberland County in 1794 for the Whiskey Rebellion. In the back side of the courtroom, or the bench area where the visitors and witnesses may sit, we have portraits of all the judges who presided here in Cumberland County. Notably, behind me, we have Judge Rambo, who is currently serving on the federal bench in Harrisburg. We also have Judge Shugart, whose force of will built this place, and Judge Jacobs, who went on to serve on the Superior Court. We don't have portraits of Justice Aiken or Chief Justice Saylor, as they haven't retired yet, but they too are members of Cumberland County's bench and bar. We're now in Courtroom 2 on on the 4th floor of the courthouse here in Cumberland County. This is one of two almost identical courtrooms. Courtroom 2 and Courtroom 3, right across the hall, mirror each other. I call them the twins. The only difference is the coloring. The scheme, the design is identical. Built in 1961, has the same fixtures that you found in courtroom number 1, same barreled ceiling. The difference that we have today in courtroom 2 is the trim colors, which were picked out by Judge Ebert, and they mirror the time, the colors for the time that were available to the old courthouse that have been brought into the new courthouse. So the blue trim was a color of blue available back in the 1700s. I'm now walking over the alleyway in the expansion between the new section of the new courthouse and the old section of the new courthouse. Prior to 1983, where I'm standing, the courthouse ended. They expanded over the alleyway into and connected with Bixler's Hardware. And then they repurposed the Bixler Hardware building into additional court space for the 4th floor and additional county offices on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor as they arch over the alleyway. We're now in the 1983 addition to the new courthouse. This is the first courtroom built in the addition side of the new courthouse. It's courtroom 4. Built in 1983. It's been occupied since 1983 by our current president, Judge Kevin Hess. It incorporated some of the design elements of the architectural structure of the old courthouse and the courtrooms in 1, 2, and 3. However, it has a 1980s feel to it, as you can see from the saying behind me. The design element is similar, but it is modernized. It has a triangular shape at the top, but it's not complete. It has a glass insert over it, which none of the other courtrooms in the courthouse have. Courtroom 4 is similar in size to courtroom 5. The difference between 4 and 5 is the ceiling here is a flat ceiling. They didn't even try to do the vaulted ceiling or a barreled ceiling. In courtroom 5, you'll see a triangular ceiling that they incorporated in there to try and mirror the barreled ceilings in 1, 2, and 3. Additionally, in courtroom 4, we have a different style of furniture. Even though still incorporating the woodwork and wood trim, we utilize more modern, hopefully more comfortable seats for our litigants and our jurors. We're now in one of the row offices in the Cumberland County Courthouse, the new courthouse. Specifically, we're in the Recorder of Deeds. And I brought you here because I wanted to show you the historical timeline of Cumberland County. Behind me are books dating back to the beginning of Cumberland County, before the birth of this great nation. 1750, January 27th, 1750, Cumberland County was formed. Part of the purpose of that was access to justice, so folks didn't have to go all the way to Lancaster to record their business. We still have some of those books here in the process of preservation, and I'm pulling out the one deed dated May 5th, 1750, which is an indenture between Roger Cook and Richard Peters involving a loan of money. And I don't know how many of you out there can read this because of such beautiful handwriting, which is not taught today in schools. And this book is replete with such documentation of the daily activities of Cumberland County as it grew from 1750 through today.
My name is John Lopp. I'm the Director of Facilities for Cumberland County. And throughout the years, we've did a lot of different things within the county, and one of my jobs is to keep all the buildings in the county running efficiently. And one of the things we did in 2005 is we entered an energy management program to try and cut costs and save money. And one of the things we did is we replaced the cooling tower, which I'm standing on right now, and we replaced the boilers, and we put interruptible boilers in, and we also put in a gas-fired water heater. The hot water was heated by the boilers over the whole year, and by installing the hot water gas heater, it allowed us to shut the boilers off and just run the gas heater for the summer. And then in the wintertime, we shut the gas heater down and we operate the boilers, which in tune also operates the heating and heating the water. So other energy efficient things that we've done in the county is we replaced the lighting, T12 lighting with T8s. We used LEDs, and on the exit signs, we've used vending misers on the vending machines, and a lot of different things to save money within the county. The project cost us about $1.9 million in 2005, and at the end of the year, last year, which was the 9th year of the program, we had saved over $2.7 million, which is above and beyond what the guaranteed savings was. We've also received a payback in the 7th year. It completely paid for the program, and now all the savings going forward is direct savings to the county and to the taxpayer. A couple of other things that happened along the way is we received an Energy Star Award at the new courthouse, and this award has only been given out to a few courthouses within Pennsylvania. In 2012, we were the only courthouse to receive the award, and in 2013 we were one of 3. Nationwide, we're one of 33 courthouses to receive this award. And the way you qualify for the award is, it's based on a lot of equations, square footage, the amount of computers, the amount of people, the ingress and egress of your building, and a lot of things go into it, and you need a certified engineer to certify the results and to even qualify you for the award. So it's not an easy award, it's not one they just give out to anyone. And through our energy savings progress, we've been able to achieve that award, as well as the Governor's Award for Environmental Excellence in 2014. Energy efficiency in any organization cannot be completed with just one individual. Throughout our facilities management team, we have a team on board that through preventive maintenance, through updates, through constant research, we have a team that's on the cutting edge of energy efficiency, and the team that you need is the team that we have here in Cumberland County. And I just appreciate all the work that goes into this, and I appreciate being a part of it.
On behalf of the Commissioners of Cumberland County, the courts, and all the people who live and work here, we'd like to thank you for stopping by today and being on this tour with us. The courthouse is open 8:30 to 4 every day. Tours are available of not only the old historic courthouse, but the new courthouse. And there is a lot of history elsewhere here in Carlisle that you can come see. Please join us.